Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of September 8, 2024. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boy, is it a very special time. And it truly is so special now. Right out of the gate, we're likely feeling an energy that's rather serious, evaluative. And it actually represents an important moment, a turning point, if you will, of last week's new moon energy. And that is that the sun will stand opposite Saturn with perfection. It was last week that the new moon stood across Saturn. Now, those themes of delayed gratification, honest evaluation, having to accept some reality and accept what we can do to make it better and where it is that we don't have any power in a given situation, well, all those themes are likely to stir really strongly for us now. The new beginnings that were promised last week with the new moon and the new opportunities that likely presented themselves, well, now we reach a point where we get to ask ourselves if it's really worth taking advantage of those opportunities. Or maybe it is that we're being asked to make a plan, that we can have the beginnings we desire, but it might require us to be patient in some way in order to get there, in order to more fully embrace the possibilities now. But the thing is, oppositions of the sun and Saturn, they happen once a year and they're characterized by a feeling of some heaviness. There's no other way to put it. It feels like a time that is consequential and meaningful. It feels like a time when a major decision is sort of hanging over us, or maybe more personally, we're evaluating our role in a given situation, or where it is that we just need to surrender it, need to accept our losses, and now move forward. There comes a moment when you've done all the navel gazing, as they say, right? You've done all the looking at yourself, talking it out, learning from it, seeking to understand, that you're able to do. And then you just have to allow yourself to move forward, knowing that in some way you got whatever you needed to get and you're now in a different place, and you're going to have to be okay with it. And a lot of us might just be reaching this moment as part of our journey going forward from here. Consider that the sun is still moving through the sign of Virgo while it stands across Saturn. And it is Virgo that is ruled by the planet Mercury, which means whatever Mercury is doing becomes that much more important at this time in how it awakens that solar energy for all of us. And it is Mercury that in many ways is the key principle now, very active in the sky, while wrapping up the larger Mercury retrograde season that we have been in since the middle of July. That sounds so long ago, right? But now here we are finishing off the larger Mercury retrograde season with key alignments that Mercury is set to take place, including starting the week with Mercury speaking in quick-moving conversations with Neptune and Pluto both. This is a key characteristic of this larger Mercury retrograde season, and this asks us again to look at our illusions, our delusions, and face some reality. But the thing is, with Mercury quincunxes, the opportunity for resolution can come on very quickly as well. But Pluto is involved. And that means with Pluto, there can be some sense of powerlessness, of disappointment that we can feel very deeply. And of course, as we spoke of last week as well, it is the outer planets that in some way connect us to a feeling of loss. And again, this goes back to this idea of an honest evaluation, where it is that it is a good idea for us to continue to give, and where it is that we're going to cut our losses might be part of the energy that we're feeling very strongly at the very beginning of the week. But things do change. Energies change, as they always do. And immediately after Mercury makes its alignment with Pluto on Monday, Mercury will change signs, moving into the sign of Virgo. And then as Mercury moves forward on Thursday, that is a huge astrological day, because Mercury will align in harmony with Mars and leave shadow all at once. Now, I find it rather intriguing that we get this alignment with Mars happening right around the same time that the larger Mercury retrograde season is over. And what makes it so interesting is that this represents a sense of empowerment, strength, an inner resolve, if you will. It is Mars that is newly in the sign of Cancer, and the Cancer vibration is about going very deep, examining ourselves with greater depth and nuance and honesty. And it is about owning our power and being courageous in the pursuit of the changes we wish to experience. Some of us might feel like we're finally thinking right, or we have the conversation that sets our energy right so that we can claim our power after all these aspects at the beginning of the week that can have a lot of us feeling rather powerless. They can have us feeling as if we have no choice but to surrender some sense of resolve. And while that is challenging, being able to own and claim and acknowledge the disappointments is a great way to then surrender them and move forward from them. And we really do. There's a sense of hope that starts to fill in as we move towards the end of the week. On Thursday, we are going to have Jupiter speaking in a conversation of tension with the sun. I find this energy so fascinating. When the sun squares Jupiter, sometimes this can be experienced as overconfidence, overdoing it, overshooting the mark. It is the sun now that is in the sign of Virgo. And so really the nuances, the details, those deeper intuitions of things that you're striving to understand, they actually matter a whole lot. However, that desire for things to be a certain way can absolutely cloud what it is that we are being asked to look at more honestly than we're able to. Now, some people say overconfidence, not a big deal, right? It's a good thing, actually. Any aspect of Jupiter is a good thing. But you do want to be sure to practice self-care in the process of whatever it is that you're hoping to make happen. Now, this sense of exaggeration can play out in different ways, but because the sun is in the sign of Virgo, and Virgo has to do with self-care, and it also has to do with the details of life itself, including your work life and the little things you do each day as you move along. Well, it does suggest that it's those areas that need special focus. We are overestimating what we're capable of getting done in a given period of time. We may think we know all the details we need and we're gung-ho, but then we may come to realize that, perhaps we put in all this effort without necessarily being able to really have that finish through that we might actually need to complete a given endeavor or a given project. This might also suggest being overly indulgent in some way with our self-care. So that might be something to pay attention to. But at the same time, part of life is to allow ourselves those moments of indulgence. They can help make life feel that much more rewarding. Going way too far, way too fast in all kinds of ways, maybe talking to a client, customer, coworker, or immediate supervisor in a way that is less than ideal could be part of the overall energy at this time as well. But ultimately, we're very quickly able to save grace. Remember, this is the same day that we get Mercury leaving shadow, that we get Mercury sextile Mars. And so just when we think we've gone way too far, we're able to understand the opportunities that are there to then hone the skill of being able to communicate and express in ways that are about keeping the end in mind, helping us to get what it is we're really hoping for. We do end the week on a really beautiful note. This is Venus trine Jupiter. Venus speaking in supreme harmony with Jupiter, with Venus in its home sign of Libra. Well, this is energy that has us getting along with people so well. Now, whether it is that we are needing to connect with others for business purposes, this is the energy of Libra after all, to be diplomatic, to find a middle ground, or whether it is romantically, of course, because this is Venus, goddess of love after all, it's going to feel as if options, opportunity, healing, abound, depending on what it is you're hoping to call forward in a given moment. I love this energy for feeling like you can really connect to all kinds of people, that you can get along with them, that you can talk to them. And where it is that we might have had situations where it was challenging to really feel connected to others, whether that's an overall trend in your life or whether that's just been taking place as of late. It is going to be this beautiful Venus speaking in supreme harmony with Jupiter that brings with it a restoration of faith. And it's a very uplifting energy, especially on a level of mind. Now, whether it is we decide to focus on matters of love, or whether it is that options, opportunities, or moments of sharing love, romantic or platonic, show up, well, all of these become a possible scenario. You know, it's interesting because normally when we think about love, of course, we think about all the different books and philosophers who've written about romantic love. It's been one of those things that has fascinated and defined so much of the human experience. I think going way back, like before written history, desire is a part of that. I had an interesting conversation recently during my trip to Mexico with my dear friend Yuridia Robles. I know that you've seen Yuridia on my channel lots of times. I co-wrote a book with her called Mayan Astrology, and she's just so brilliant. And I was asking her about Venus. The planet Venus, of course, we know in Western astrology that this is the embodiment of the goddess of love of Venus. And we understand that this is a symbol of romantic love. And I know that while the indigenous cultures absolutely have a similar figure, depending on the region, she may go by a different name. In the Aztec culture, where I was in Mexico City, well rooted in that understanding, that worldview, that tradition, they call Venus by the name Quetzalcoatl. And Quetzalcoatl is actually a war god. And I was asking her about this. I was saying, you know, I know that these cultures didn't really have any communication with each other in ancient times at all. But why do you think it is that the ancient Greeks looked at Venus and saw the embodiment of love, and the ancient Aztecs saw the embodiment of war? And she was telling me how she's actually thought about this quite a bit. And she was saying that she thinks it's because remember, these are universal symbols that we're talking about. We as astrologers are giving language and words to what are symbols in the sky. And there's something very deep, very archetypal, very much part of the collective consciousness that these symbols resonate with. And it is universal, collective for a reason. It isn't just collective in one half of the planet, but rather it is something that resonates so deep within the very soul and will to live of human beings themselves that these archetypes go to, they resonate with, they touch on. And she was saying that she believes it's because both represent the concept of desire. And she was saying to me, why do you think that wars happen? It really comes down to desire. Someone else has something that you desire and you want them to give it to you. Or someone else is doing something you don't desire. So you are going to take action, very affirmative action, violent action, so that you're able to keep what it is that you desire. And if you think to certain mythologies of Venus in particular, right, in ancient Greece, in many ways, Mars was kind of following her. She was just so desirable that she would actually start fights among the gods. Venus, in her beingness, caused so much desire that there was so much conflict in the sky among the gods that Zeus decided that Venus was to marry Hephaestus. Hephaestus is someone described as homely or halting, not necessarily somebody who radiated the kind of physical passion of Mars, for example, or the kind of power of Zeus. And so it was with this figure that Venus ended up connecting with, marrying even. But still, Mars couldn't stay away from her. And in her own way, in her own presence, she as well felt that she didn't want to stay away from Mars. Now, Venus would go on to enjoy her life. She would have lots of lovers, mortal and divine. She would have lots of children as well. Now, Quetzalcoatl was a feathered serpent, beautiful, brilliant, strong. And it is the feathered serpent that becomes this symbol of so many different things, of fertility, of flight, of imagination, of protection. The world itself was created when Quetzalcoatl got into a fight with his brother. They destroyed a monster, and the pieces of the monster became the planets and the world and the cosmos and so on. I share this because I think sometimes we underestimate or don't give ourselves enough credit for the understanding of the beauty that can come out of chaos, of how it is and where it is, the different ways in which the universe wants to make us aware of the force of love itself. And sometimes what looks so chaotic, what looks like the opposite of love, actually can be a powerful expression that leads us on the path of greater love than we've known before. I think today we think of love and harmony sort of in the same category, right? Love is a state of peace, and we can have that peace, but sometimes there are moments when we have to go through challenges in order to find that peace on the other side and cherish it that much more, nurture it that much more, because we know we earned it and the pathway to get there. It looks like this week with this very varied sky that we are walking that pathway in one way or another. And it is at the start of the week with this super serious energy that eventually does lead us to a lightness of life and being and enjoyment. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It is a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. Well, I'm going to say, look, I know it's a really varied sky, but I do love that Mercury leaves shadow. The larger Mercury retrograde season is over. I'm going to invite you to think back. Key dates I want to give you right now include July 25th and August 14th. This is when Mercury moved in or out over 0 degrees of Virgo. It is at these key dates that in some way, as we start the week, we may find events or ideas or clarity finds us that is hearkening to events that might have taken place at these key dates back then. But now here we are. It is by the end of the week that Mercury is in brand new territory. The Mercury retrograde season is good and over. We can celebrate, and the universe really does want us to celebrate with a beautiful trine between Venus and Jupiter. So many of us are likely going to be jumping for joy with this energy, or at least feeling ready to socialize, connect with other people, and feeling a sense of being truly understood by others can be a very powerful form of love. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here's some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes for as low as just $3 a month with Choose Your Membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has some absolutely incredible programs underway right now as we speak, and single classes are available. I want to touch on them quickly. First, my class, Many Happy Returns, is about looking at planetary return charts. We just looked at lunar return charts, which is now available as an instant download. Next week, we're doing solar return charts, an amazing predictive technique that you can take advantage of right away as you learn it with my class. It is the one and only Cameron Allen that is in the middle of, or has recently started, an incredible course on planetary remedies. He recently did an introduction, and now going forward is going to be going through the different planets one at a time to help you to align with their energies, bring balance to their energies for you to experience optimal, holistic health, of which he is a world expert. And our September speaker series is well underway now. And it is the September speaker series that is underway now. Last week we had the one and only Melanie Rose teaching on the natal moon and lunations. It will be this week that MEGHNA BHAGAT will help us to understand what it is to be at home with your chart. I know I'm really looking forward to that talk as well. Her class will be followed by Key Tyler. She is going to teach on the water houses as kingdoms of the soul. We have Lady JESAMYN to look forward to, who teaches on ritual and magic for a happy and empowered home. And then the one and only Jill Loftus of Nui Astrology. You've seen her on my channel so many times. I love her as an astrologer, and she's going to be looking at the 4th house. So you can see here, there's so much to look forward to at Synchronicity University. You can sign up for single classes now, get classes that have already been presented as instant downloads only at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Now, finally, I have to be sure to say happy birthday to my #1 fan, the president of my fan club, the president of my PR agency, and that is my mom. It is my mother who is celebrating her birthday at the very beginning of the week. And if you're so inspired, please wish her a happy birthday to my yummy mummy. Now, my mom really is so loving and supportive of my work. She talks about me all the time. When I meet new people who know my mom, they'll say to me like, "Oh, your mom loves talking about you all the time." I'm like, I know. You can't find somebody more proud of their child than my mom is of us, of me and my brother. And I came home to surprise her for her birthday. So that's why when you see this background, it means I'm home in South Central Ontario, in the middle of just about nowhere, to be honest, but it's not the big bright lights and big city of Mexico City, that's for sure, but it's where my parents are, and it's really nice to celebrate my mom's birthday with her. So happy birthday, Mom. I love you so much. And thank you. I want to thank you so much for making last week's anniversary celebration online, my live streams and everything, so very successful. Thank you for your enthusiasm for my work, for your support. It means so very much to me to have your trust, but also to just celebrate with you. That meant so much to me as well. So yes, I recently celebrated 18 years of NadiyaShah.com as a full-time professional astrologer, and here's to the next 18. I've loved it, and there's always something to look forward to, right? Always. But yeah, this was a really nice celebration, and I thank you guys for sharing it with me as you did this last week. And thank you again for watching. I'm so grateful for you, for all the affirming, loving comments that you've left. Thank you for welcoming me back on YouTube, on camera. So grateful for it. Thank you. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.